Welcome, fellow Biafrans, lovers of freedom across the world. I welcome you to this amazing platform. Thank you so much for joining us once again on this platform. Remember, this is Biafra Exodus Hard Talk TV, a platform where we bring information that has to do with Biafran government. We bring information that is coming from the Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra. In this platform, we bring information that has to do with the restoration of independence of Biafra. If you have not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Like and share to all platforms. Don't keep it to yourself, because this message must be preached. My fellow Biafrans, in this very episode, I am going to share with you.
We don't want to create a humongous military in order to battle the existing military. For God's sake, those military that are inside Eritrea is the people's military. They are not a private military. They belong to the nation. If I would remind each and every one of you, as you graduated from Sawa, you have a pledge you gave. And that says, yes, as a military, I will protect my nation and want my people from external and internal enemies. Repeating, from external and internal enemies. So, I still want to remind you, the biggest enemy is the internal one that is looming and causing all this harm among each of us. As we know, he lives in our differences. So we have to minimize our differences in order to know and identify and target the enemy. Coming back to your question though, what do we have in common? Well, injustice in one place is injustice everywhere. If we are claiming we've been unjustly treated, the same goes for the Biafran people. By the same token, something that we have in common also, the Biafrans are also indigenous people. So do we have 4 different indigenous people in Eritrea? That has been recognized through the United Nations. I think they deserve their freedom, their human right intact. I think they should be treated even well known throughout the world. But because of that indigenous movement for all of us, I think we have a big thing in common. Again, even coming as a pro-West for democracy, both governments are working to restore democracy. And I think this is the biggest binding point we have in order to work together. The minute we met through the Office of Moran Strategies, we decided, yes, in order to elevate each other, yes, we can work together. Yes, our causes are just. Yes, our causes are righteous for our people. Therefore, yes, there is a lot in common for us to work. And I think it is not about if, but when. Yes, we will prevail, and our people, both sides, should be free. With that, I will yield my platform to you, Mr. KJ.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Bahadurai, Mr. G. Mr. Elias, can you give us looking forward and in the future what we can be achieved or expected from the modern strategies incorporation for these 2 governments in exile?
Yeah, so let me expand a little bit about in terms of what I said previously, which is connected to your question. First of all, I think with our firm, we now have not just a relationship, but a burgeoning alliance between the Eritrean government in exile, between the Biafran government in exile. This will become a very important partnership because both have assets to bring to the table that are mutually complementary. Biafra is a huge country with up to 80 million people if you include the diaspora. It has a strong military Biafran Liberation Army that the Prime Minister leads. So it has certain assets. Eritrea is a very small country, but it has the advantage of being a country that's already recognized as a member by the international community, as a country recognized by the international community. So I think these are two causes that have a similarity in terms of you have people that have been subject to oppression in different circumstances, but who are beleaguered, subject to persecution and prosecution and killing. And so I think there's a commonality there. I think these are brotherly causes. And I think each of these causes and each of these governments are able to provide something to the other, which will elevate each other. And you're going to see a lot more in terms of, we already have specific plans in the works, and you will see those plans come into fruition in the next coming months in terms of how these two governments will, in a more formal way, develop their strategic alliance. As I alluded to before, we plan to keep raising awareness of the Biafra issue in Washington. Again, most people were not aware of it. We're now making people aware of it. Biafra has been taken now into the center stage of Washington, being published by major think tanks. There's some major congressional initiatives that we're planning these next few months that I don't want to get to publicly right now, but if they happen, will be very significant. And we're also working with our colleagues in Congress and elsewhere to create additional support for this upcoming convention in Finland. And I'll let the Prime Minister speak more to this. There's a Finland convention between November 29th to December 3rd, where you're going to have the signing of the redeclaration of independence, the restoration of the Biafran state, the signing of constitutional documents, strategic alliances, and so forth. So we're going to kind of, get the political support in Washington for that convention. So that's what we have planned. I'm very confident that with our continued effort, we will move our government towards supporting either recognizing Biafra as an independent state or having the U.S. government endorse the position that the Biafrans should be, allowed to have their independence through referendum, which the Prime Minister is already doing. And the Prime Minister, I'm sure, could talk more about that in terms of he's already organized a referendum where 50 million Biafrans have voted for independence. So, perhaps having the U.S. government recognize that referendum formally. And, the U.S. government being the major player, once the U.S. government's on board, other governments will follow, the United Nations will follow, and so forth. And as I've said, we continue to raise the awareness about the Eritrean transitional government in exile and continue to call out the dictator over there. And there's a lot that we're discussing. We've had conversations about potential legislation, potential resolutions, potential even speeches or what have you. So you're going to see a lot more coming. If the Eritrean government is freaking out over some of these meetings that we've had, they haven't seen anything yet. This is just stage one. People are not going to believe it when we get to stage 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm hoping that as we do this, we already have a consolidation because of our success of the smaller groups into the government in exile. The Prime Minister, the President recently was in Addis, Ethiopia, had a major conference where for the very first time, rather than just infighting, the smaller groups decided to coalesce and come under the umbrella of the government in exile. We're hoping to continue this as we get more success, as we continue to engage with the U.S. government. We're hoping more and more of these smaller Eritrean opposition groups consolidate under the government in exile. And I'm particularly hoping that the youth who are so active, the Blue Revolution leaders, the Brigadam Hamadou, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, that those guys come under the tent of the government in exile and where we could, and we're happy to do this, provide them with mentorship, political training. Our lobbying firm with the president will train them, and we want to get them from fighting with people in these festivals, move that from that to fighting the political fight, fighting in Congress, fighting in the State Department. We would love to bring these young people who are getting into fights at these festivals, training them, educating them, and then bring them to Congress. A group of them, maybe 10 of these Brigadier Hamadou individuals, President Badarai and I and my Congressman Moran, we bring them to Washington, show them around. They need to get to this next stage, because if all they're doing is talk, again, they have the young people. I want to speak to the young people now. The young air trains have to learn from the mistakes of their predecessors. They cannot do the same thing, which is talk endlessly amongst ourselves and not do anything. Because if all they're doing is talking amongst themselves and not doing anything, then they're going to be another failure, right? And we don't want that. We want them to be successful. We're here to extend a hand to make sure they're successful, to provide them with the guidance that they need. So I am very optimistic. I think we're going to get Biafran independence, the U.S. to support that. Again, it's going to take time and effort. And the same thing with the air train transitional government, because again, we have 535 members of Congress. We have the White House, we have the State Department, we have National Security Council. You have people outside the government in the think tank community that have a tremendous amount of influence. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that need to be educated, that need to be engaged in order to influence U.S. policy. So in the cases of both the Biafran cause and the air train cause, these are going to be long-term projects. This is not just going to be us lobbying for a month or two. This is something we're committed to doing for many years in order to develop the powerhouse in Washington. In a short period of time, we've already gotten tremendous support, more than I even anticipated. And again, I'm very confident that we're going to get an independent Biafra, and the U.S. is going to get behind that. I'm confident we're going to get rid of the dictator, Isaias Afwerki, and the U.S. is going to get behind, or is already behind, but more formally proclaim their support for the transitional presidency of Mr. Badarai. So we're in the right direction. We're going to be successful in both cases. I think the only question is timeline, right? How fast are these things going to happen? And when it comes to that, there's some externalities that are outside of our control, right? We have an election coming up. We don't know what regional events might happen, but we're controlling the things that are under our control, and we're moving in the right direction. I'm very confident in both the Biafran cause and the air train cause. We're going to be successful. I'm very confident in that.
Thank you, Mr. Elias, for all this. Prime Minister Simon Ekpa, we heard you have offices through the globe, and we understand shortly that that you are planning to announce something in Finland. Can you tell us what the announcement would be and what you plan to achieve by it?
All right. Thank you very much. And if we all can be muted, so because there are some kind of interruption that is not actually technical, so if everybody can be muted so that the noise will be reduced. Yeah, thank you for that question, and thank you, Elias, for bringing up this issue of Biafra convention that is coming up in Finland, and we've have extensive discussion on that, and President Badarai as well. What we intend to do, first of all, let me make a comment on what we have in common before addressing that question. We have in common two government that has failed, failed state. There is no other way to describe this situation other than failed state. Two, we have government that are nomadic, that are practicing nomadic system. What I mean nomadic system is another word for tyranny. It's a nomadic system of government, not democratic. So there is a solution here that we are bringing to the table to bring more advanced democratic system to this both wonderful and beautiful nation, Biafra and Eritrea. That's the what we are bringing to the table. So when the state has failed, we shouldn't allow it to continue. Otherwise, the anarchy will become the norms. And we wouldn't want that particular anarchy to continue. The Nigerian side is even more dangerous than any other part of the world. There is nothing you can't see in Nigeria. Having said that, we have decided that for the past 50 years, since after Nigeria massacred our children, up to 3 million of them, there has not been any clear pathway to exit Nigeria until now. So we decided to go into more organized liberation movement that will consolidate different mechanisms, political approach, diplomatical approach, and the defense approach, which is the armed struggle approach. We didn't, carry arms in the first place. It has become necessary for us to carry arms. So what we intend to do is that we have been able to lay this particular background and structure. The formation of the Biafra government in exile has given this foundation that is needed, that was lacking for decades. So we have opened several liaison offices across the world, getting ready for the restoration of independence of Biafra after the declaration in December 2nd. So on the 29th of November, from 29th of November to 3rd of December, we are going to have the second convention of the Biafra declaration in Finland. We had the first one in 2023, October, and that where we had some adopted some kind of resolution. We had what we call the Helsinki Declaration, which is the Charter of Biafra. We had alliance, which went into official alliance agreement recognition with Amazonia, and after that, after the convention, we begin to activate the strategies that we have, which is the political approach. So on the 1st of February 2024, we started the Biafra self-referendum, organized by the Biafra government in the homeland and of course in exile. But one peculiar thing about us is that we have been able to form the Biafra de facto government in the homeland and created the 40 United States of Biafra, what has never been done since after the war. We have also been able to draw the Biafra map, undisputed, with the consent of the entire ethnic nationalities making up the entire Biafra state. So the map is there, the state structure, the government institution, all have been formed in the homeland, and it is the de facto government of Biafra. So we went into this self-referendum. In the first stage, second stage, we recorded about 30 million votes. We started with the electronic voting, and then we'll see how Nigeria was interrupting the voting. We decided to go physical voting by going into state by state, county by county, district by district. In all this, we have unit by unit. So the referendum is being conducted in the first stage of the referendum, the second stage of the referendum, and the third stage of the referendum. And the referendum is going to end on the 28th of November 2024, while the conference will start on the 29th. So we intend to announce the result of the referendum in Finland during the convention. We are also going to pass many resolutions and vote for it. We are expecting a reasonable number of delegates of Biafrans from all over the world to gather in Finland for this convention. And in this Finland, we will after we have counted the number of the vote, number of the Biafrans that have given the Biafra government in exile and the homeland the mandate to declare their independence and fight for them. After we have counted this particular voting and the result will be announced. We will not only just announce the result, we will also publish every document that has to do with how the referendum was conducted for the world who care to know, those who care to know and who care to see it. And then after that, if the number of the vote is reasonable enough, the delegates that have come to Finland for this convention will vote for the approval, and on that approval, the declaration for the restoration of independent state of Biafra will follow. We are planning to issue this declaration on the 2nd December, which is the fourth day of the conference. After that, when we have done with the Finland Convention, we will now begin to approach Nigeria, which we know it is just going to be for formality. They will never accept anything democratic. They are not democratic in nature. They don't know even what is democracy. They do fraud in election. They kill people to become governors. They kill to become president. So they don't know what is a democracy. So we are now providing solution from what we have learned from the West, that indeed there are ways to conduct election without people getting killed. And you need to see the videos of the referendum voting in Biafra land, where people dress and come without nobody shouting because, of course, of the security situation and threat. We can't nobody making noise. Everybody come, make your vote, write your name, put your name down, because we have the record of everyone that voted. For the 30 million, we have the record, we have their names and everything. So when this happens, after this declaration, we will approach Nigeria and the request for the approval and recognition of the self-referendum. We will also do the same thing to African Union, to ECOWAS. All these things are just for formality. These are people who they have put in those positions to hijack the system for the interest of the tyrannic system and nomadic system of government. Most of the people you have in the ECOWAS and the AU are all appointed by the Nigeria state, especially those representing them there. The same thing is applicable to Eritrea. So they are loyal to the government that appoints them. And they are there not to defend the interests of the people, but to the interests of the political party and the interests of the presidents that appoint them and gave them the appointment. That is why Africa is failing today. Because it is all about the interests of those who appointed you, not the interests of the country, not the interests of the citizen, not for the interests of the society. So we know that our communication will not bring anything or any change, but rather we want to do it as a formality. After that, we will continue the delegitimization of Nigeria within Biafra territory. Because the only two things we want to achieve using this process is the legitimization of the Biafra government and the delegitimization of the Nigerian government. And this is going to be the beginning of the delegitimization and the beginning of the legitimization. The legitimization will follow and come in with the pursuit for international recognition, which is going to take time, which is the reason we are here discussing today, which is the reason we are coming to in alliance with Eritrea, which is the reason now the like minds are coming together from abroad, from exile, to begin to bring change in Africa, to begin to push for a different democratic system that will benefit everyone, to bring Western civilization to Africa, where everybody can participate and voted for without getting killed. That's what the President Badran is fighting for. That's what I, Samanekpa, is fighting for. And that's what everyone who is supporting this movement is fighting for. So we can have a better society to live without getting killed, without fear of getting kidnapped or abused. So after that, the delegitimization of Nigeria state will continue as we continue to push with our lobbyists in the Washington, D.C., making sure that America